It's finally here. The video you've probably all been waiting for. Because for as long as the series has been going on, which hasn't been that long, this series, but the very first soap opera I talked about was Dynasty, right? Yeah, that was like an hour-long video because there was a lot of Dynasty. I'm hoping that somehow this video will also be long. Somehow. I also don't know if this video is going to come out on Monday or on Tuesday. It depends on when you're watching it. Sorry, I looked at the theme music composers and I saw a very familiar name. We're gonna get into that later, okay? So, what exactly are we talking about today? In another video on Soap Opera September, I talked about As the World Turns, a very popular soap opera that did last for quite a while, but did sadly get canceled in the early 2000s. Thus, we never got a proper conclusion to Luke and Noah's story. Okay? We got that. Now today I'm talking about the most infamous soap opera of all time. It is still running along with General Hospital, and not Gilding Light because Gilding Light did eventually end. So it's just General Hospital and, Days of Our Lives. Not too sure about The Young and the Restless. Not too sure about that one because that was supposed to be next video, but, again, September's literally about to end soon, so we don't have time for this. Alright, I quickly checked because I wasn't going to have any peace, and it looks like it's still going on. Because it says released from March 26, 1973 to present, which means it probably still is going on. And they did air their 13,000th episode last year. And so the series was renewed for another season, so the show is still going on too. It's like a triangle. It's like a triangle, and right on top of the triangle is Days of Our Lives. And at the bottom of the triangle is General Hospital, but then right over there is Young and the Restless. Yep, we're talking about Days of Our Lives. Probably the most famous soap opera of all time. I can confidently say I didn't watch the show, right? But like technically I grew up with the show. Now, granted, none of my parents were born yet when the show came out. But that's besides the point. It's very rare to say that, like, while you were growing up as a kid, there was still a soap opera going on. I could have said that for As the World Turns, but since As the World Turns, like, ended when I was, like, 5, 6, 7, it doesn't really count. I just said 6, 7. Please, any young person in the comments, please don't do it, okay? It's supposed to be a normal video. And right off the bat, before anyone says anything, right? Yes, I will be making a video about Will and Sunny, much like how I did for Luke and Noah. It's just that there was a lot to their characters, unlike Luke and Noah, because while Luke and Noah were just like small potatoes, like, Luke got recasted and Noah's new, like stuff like that, Will and Sunny have a lot to them. I don't watch, Days of Our Lives, but they have a lot. That'll probably be next video, but since I probably want it to be next video, I'm going to have to, probably start this video now, let's get into it. Days of Our Lives, which is also stylized as Days of Our Lives, or just simply referred to as Days, or DOOL. I'm just gonna keep calling it Days of Our Lives, is an American television soap opera that aired on the network NBC from November 8th, 1965 to September 9th of 2022, and the soap has streamed new episodes on Peacock since September 12th of 2022, and it's also the longest running scripted TV program in the world, airing nearly every weekday since November 8th of 1965. It's a co-production of Corday Productions and Sony Pictures Television, and Corday Productions is because it was created by husband-wife team Ted Corday and Betty Corday. During Days of Our Lives' earlier years, Erna Phillips, the creator of Another World and As the World Turns and Gilding Light, did actually serve as an editor for the program, and many of the show's earlier storylines were written by William J. Bell, who would depart the series in 1975 to focus full-time on The Young and the Restless, which he created for CBS in 1973. Following the 2007 cancellation of Passions, Days of Our Lives remained the only soap opera airing on NBC. On August 3rd of 2022, NBC Universal announced that it would relocate the series exclusively to Peacock beginning September 12th after 57 years on the network, leaving NBC as the only Big Three networks without a daytime serial. Two things. I want to quickly remind you guys that the Big Three of the TV networks are NBC, CBS, and ABC. That's why they're referred to the big three networks. Also, this doesn't mean the show's over. It just means they moved it to Peacock. The show is still going. If you Google Days of Our Lives right now, you'll see articles about what happened in the latest episode. Same thing with General Hospital. The show is set in Illinois, in the fictional city of Salem. I don't think there's a Salem in Illinois, hence why it's fictional. They could have put it in Massachusetts, but I guess it's more fun to put it in Illinois. To be fair, that is where Uncle O'Grimacy got arrested. Anyways, it primarily focuses on two groups, the Bradys and the Horton families. The other families, however, are also frequently represented during the DiMera and Caracas families, which, Caracas? That's Sonny Caracas! Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry, I'll stop, but... And Horton! Will and... Okay, I'll stop. The actress Frances Reed, who played the matriarch of the Horton family, Alice Horton, remained with the show from its inception until she died in 2010. Her last formal appearance had occurred in 2007 December, and not only was she like a long member of the show, but Suzanne Rogers is also the longest serving member of the program's current cast, and the longest serving current cast member of an ongoing soap opera, having appeared on the show since 1973 in August, and she did celebrate 50 years on the show in 2023, so there's that. We also have Susan Seaford Hayes, the second longest actor currently on the program, and is also the only cast member to have appeared on Days of Our Lives in all 7 decades it has been on air, having made her first appearance in 1968 in December as a recast of the OG character, Julie Olson. Due to the series' success, daily episodes were expanded from 30 minutes to 60 minutes in April 21st of 1975, and the show has been syndicated in many countries internationally years since its debut, which makes me concerned about Sonny and Will's storyline, because, God forbid they want to kiss. The show has, was given the title of Most Daring Drama in the 70s due to the episodes venturing into topics that other soaps of the era would not, dare to cover. The show's executive producer is Ken Corday, who is the son of, Betty and Ted, and he has said he's had the role since his mom relinquished showrunning duties upon her semi-retirement from the program in 1986. And also, Janet Spellman Drucker served as co-executive producer. And like I said, I didn't say this before, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But as of July of this year, Days of Our Lives has been renewed through 2028. And the soap opera did actually celebrate its 15,000th episode last year in December. So we're still going to get Days of Our Lives probably forever, for all we know. You know what I mean? The show has been parodied in like other things, but it's been parodied on SCTV. They did a thing as a sketch called The Days of the Week, which is pretty funny. But the most notable thing is that it has been parodied on Friends, with some of the cast members even making crossover appearances on the show. But we'll talk about that later. So since we're going to talk about that later, I say we should just get into the history of the show. Get into the meat and potatoes of it. Learn these stuff. And maybe one day we'll fully talk about... Wait, should I fully talk about the spin-offs? I want to see what information there is first about the spin-offs to really see if I can lock in. Not much? Not much. Got it. Okay, that's all I need to know. I will mention the spin-offs in this video, but they're not going to get their own videos, in case you were wondering. Okay, so I just checked, and yeah. There's no point in, making videos about the spin-offs. Also, I didn't realize that the movie... There's a movie. Or is it a show? No, it's a movie. The movie is about, Will writing a script about the people of Salem. So, Will and Sonny movie... Oh, Will and Sonny movie. Wait, is Sonny in the movie? Please, God. Yes, he is. Whew! I love Sonny! Anyways... I say we just get into the video now because I just peeked, and apparently the show dived into supernatural storylines in the 90s. They wanted to be Passions so bad, I wanted to make that Passions video, but we don't have enough time. Okay, so, this is the video about the longest running soap opera besides General Hospital, Days of Our Lives. Alright, so what you need to know is that the Corday couple and the Bell guy I was mentioning before, who was executive producer of the show, combined the hospital soap idea with the tradition of centering a series on a family by making the show about a family of doctors, including one who worked in a mental hospital. Storylines in the show followed lives of middle and upper class professionals in Salem, a middle town in America, with the usual threads of love, marriage, divorce, and family life, plus the medical storylines and character studies of individuals with psychological problems. For executive producer, Al Rabin took pride in the characters' passions, saying that the characters were not shy about sharing what's in their gut. Critics originally praised the show for its non-reliance on nostalgia, in contrast to shows like As the World Turns, and its portrayal of real American contemporary families. By the 70s, critics deemed the show to be the most daring daytime drama, leading the way of using themes of other shows of the period would not touch, basically, like artificial insemination or interracial romance. And in the January 12, 1976 cover of Time magazine, it featured the Days of Our Lives characters Bill Hayes and Susan Hayes, the only actors to ever appear on its cover. The Hayeses themselves were a couple whose on-screen and real-life romance they met on the series in 1970, got married in 74, was widely covered by both the soap opera magazines and the mainstream press. In 1990, the show branched out into supernatural storylines, kind of like Passions, except Passions was just always that, which critics immediately panned, as it was seen as a departure from more realistic storylines, for which the show had originally become known for. However, these storylines did have a desired effect, making Days of Our Lives the most watched daytime soap opera among young and middle-aged women, also becoming one of NBC's 5 most profitable shows in any time slot. In 2006, when asked about his character Jack Devereaux coming back from the dead for the 3rd time, actor Matthew Ashford responded, "It is hard to play that because at a certain point it becomes too unreal. Actors look at this and think, what is this? The Cartoon Network?" Ironically, Jack, with Ashford in the role, will be killed off for a 4th time in an explosion-related elevator failure in 2012 in August, only to be brought back from the dead once more in December 2018. And not only that, but I keep mentioning Will and Sonny. Will dies. Will dies and then comes back. Now, was this just because they wanted to bring back Chandler Massey? Probably, because the guy that was temporarily playing him, Guy Wilson, it threw me off. I was like, that's not Will. That's not Will. No offense to Guy Wilson, okay? But that's not Will. That's not my Will Horton. Anyways, let's get back into the show. As with all other network programming, Days of Our Lives ratings have declined somewhat since the 1990s. In January of 2007, it was suggested by NBC that the show is unlikely to continue on NBC past 2009. In November of 2008, in an 11th hour decision, it was announced that the show had been renewed through September of 2010. The 18-month revival was down from its previous renewal, which was for 5 years. The show made a somewhat of a comeback in 2009, with ratings increasing as the year progressed. In March 2010, the show was renewed once again through September 2011, and then again on November 8th, 2010, its 45th anniversary. The show was renewed for 2 more years throughout September 2013, with an option for an additional year, which would keep the soap on through 2014, with its 49th year on the air. The series received a 2-year renewal in January 2014 that was set to last until September 2016, and then beginning on November 8th, 2010, which marked the 45th anniversary of the show began airing in HD, high definition. The show was officially quote-unquote rebooted on September 26, 2011, to gain back its lapsed audience, appeal to long-term loyal fans, begin new stories, and boost ratings. Former fan-favorite characters were reintroduced as part of the reboot, like Jack Devereaux, Carrie Brady, and Austin Reed. All 3, along with actress Sarah Brown, were fired from the show to lower production costs. The reboot was met with mixed reviews from critics. Head writers hired to handle the reboot were Marlene McPherson and Daryl Ray Thomas Jr., and they were actually subsequently fired due to declining ratings. So, not only that, but Chris Whitesell and former executive producer Gary Tomlin were rehired after being fired from the show as part of the show's revamp. Daytime Emmy Award winner Lorraine Broderick was hired as a member of the Breakdown writing team in April of 2012, and the show is noted to be the 4th longest-running soap opera in the United States. On November 30th of 2014, NBC introduced an updated logo for the show at the 2014 Hollywood Christmas Parade in celebration of the series' 50th anniversary. On February 11th of 2016, NBC renewed the show for one more year, or just 1 year, with the option of an additional year. In January of 2017, I can't believe I'm saying this because I was in middle school when they were doing this. I started middle school, whatever. It's crazy, bro. Anyways, in January of 2017, while discussing the potential for a renewal of the soap, NBC chairman Bob Greenblatt stated, "We don't make a decision for another couple of months, but I don't think it's over yet." In February of 2017, NBC officially renewed the show for an additional year, and Jennifer Salke, president of the NBC Entertainment, said in a statement, "We feel so privileged to be able to continue the remarkable legacy of Days of Our Lives. We thank executive producer Ken Cordray and his team for their incredible accomplishments and look forward to all the stories from Salem that will continue to unfold." In March of 2018, NBC announced their decision to renew the show through fall of 2019, and then January 2019, NBC renewed the serial through September 2020. Which, let's not get into that. And in a statement, NBC Entertainment said, "With writing that manages to weave together Salem's iconic characters with current realities, Ken Corday and his team have ushered the show's legacy into a new era that resonates with longtime and new viewers." But now here's where we gotta get into my courtroom. You know, sometimes I'm Judge Amy, so here's time to get to the courtroom. On February 11th of 2019, 1 month after NBC announces renewal for Days of Our Lives to get a 55th season, 55 seasons is crazy enough in and of itself, Corday Productions filed a breach of contract and fraud lawsuit against Sony Pictures Television, which was co-produced and handled international distribution of the series, since the original production backer Screen Gems, who helped with the Monkees, was folded into the former Columbia Pictures Television in 1974. They basically sued them in the Los Angeles County Superior Court, alleging that Sony placed the soap at a competitive disadvantage, favoring its higher-rated CBS rival, The Young and the Restless. The suit, which seeks restitution payments of more than $20 million, alleges that Sony Pictures had forced Corday, which maintains the revenue-sharing arrangement to split any profits and production costs above the budget, the latter of which is financed by NBC, to absorb budgetary production deficits, had provided them with accurate accounting, and had failed to offer the show for distribution in certain foreign markets like the UK and France, and had failed to make profits within the 8-figure range, as well as to negotiate a licensing fee with NBC that incurs a reasonable profit for Corday while negotiating a more favorable license from CBS for its carriage of The Young and the Restless, even as Corday's shares of distribution revenues decreased over by 50% in recent years. He also alleged that Sony Pictures executives have expressed indifference to the soap opera, claiming that Sony Pictures Entertainment CEO Tony Vinciquerra said the soap is no longer a priority for the company and is hanging on by a thread. Representatives for Sony describes the claims made in the suit as meritless, which not even going to touch that. But here's where it gets a bit more messy. On November 12th of 2019, TV Line reported that the entire cast was released from their contracts in preparation for a previously planned production hiatus. Per reports, pending renewal, production will resume by March of 2020, which in a separate report published by People, the shutdown was known to cast and crew for scheduling reasons, and then 10 days later, Deadline Hollywood announced the show would be renewed through September of 2021. On January 29th of 2020, NBC had announced that it renewed the soap and that production would resume in March, and then the following day it was announced that the cast and crew would return in February. But as we all know, the Coconut Panini happened in March, so that kind of stopped it. But lucky for us, in July of 2020, it was announced that the production of the soap would resume on September 1st of the same year. The following month, on October 12th, Deadline reported that the soap was suspending production for 2 weeks because someone was positive for the Coconut Panini, but then production resumed 8 days later on October 20th, so it's all good. But in April of 2021, when production was paused, with NBC and Sony Pictures Television entering into renegotiations, the following month it was announced that NBC and Sony Pictures had released a deal, they reached a deal, renewing the show through September of 2023, and then on March 15th of 2023, Peacock renewed the soap for 2 additional years through its 60th anniversary. And now we gonna get into some interesting shit. For this part, I'm gonna have to censor some stuff because, yeah. Brief trigger warning in case anyone gets triggered by this. I'm again gonna try censoring as much as I can, so. On July 25th, 2023, Deadline Hollywood published a report claiming an investigation against co-executive producer Albert Alar for misconduct. The investigation was launched following allegations of misconduct by Alar, with 30 to 40 individuals interviewed, which were, of course, prominently women, with claims that his behavior had been present for years and only increased among being named co-executive producer in 2015. The reports also called him abusive, resulting in those feeling uncomfortable and humiliated. In addition to Alar's alleged misconduct, the article cited a significant number of women who had left the show over the past couple of years, including actresses who played major characters. While the male actors were bullied on set, Alar was also quoted as saying, "You're fucking horny, man, you just want to fuck her," during the filming of intimate scenes. The investigation also examined an incident in which Alar was said to have forcefully grabbed and kissed one female actor on the set without warning or without her consent. Following a 9-week investigation, he was given a written warning and remained in his position. And following the report, several cast members, both past and present, spoke out in support of the report, including Lisa Rinna, who cited the work environment as disgusting when she filmed the first chapter of the spin-off series Beyond Salem in 2021. 3 days later, Deadline Hollywood reported production of the show would be shut down for 1 week, beginning July 31st. On August 2nd, a subsequent report was published, claiming over 25 cast members attended a petition to, demand his removal. The same report contained more details concerning the on-set misconduct, and per the report, the cast is calling for an unnamed, respected director-producer to be named as Alar's replacement. 2 days later, on August 4th, the Wrap announced that he had been let go. In a statement to the cast and crew, Ken Corday announced Jane Drucker's promotion to co-executive producer, and as a result of the investigation, Ken also announced additional HR protocols would be implemented, as well as increased HR presence, while maintaining it was imperative that we have a safe and inclusive workplace environment. Oh, and if you thought that was it, I was just warming up. In February of last year, it was announced that Adrienne Zucker, recognized for her portrayal of Nicole Walker on the show, filed a lawsuit against Corday Productions, Ken Corday, and Alar, alleging sexual harassment, as well as wrongful termination. In the suit, she claimed that she was a victim of non-consensual sexual touching and inappropriate comments by Alar. She additionally claimed Ken provided a take-it-or-leave-it deal in October of 2023, following her meetings in March and June of the same year with Sony and Human Resources. Reports claim that Zucker concluded filming her role of Nicole in January of last year, and on August 8th of last year, a Los Angeles County judge ruled in her favor, allowing her to move ahead with the disputed portion of her complaint that's seeking a formal order, which would bar Allen or Alar from harassing behavior in any future workplace. In November of last year, though, it was announced that the show was renewed for its 61st season, assuring its continuation through 2026, which is next year, and the show celebrates its 15,000th anniversary, or 15,000th episode, I meant to say, on December 2nd of last year. Sorry, that was a lot to take in. So maybe let's try something good, let's do something good. So, in July of this year, it was announced that Peacock had renewed the serial through its 63rd season, which will occur during the 2027 to 2028 TV season, and in a statement, Ken Corday said, "This is a celebration for us without doubt, continuing with our NBCU family 60 years this fall and beyond. Our on and off screen family, I should say, is excited to continue exploring and telling meaningful and fun stories for many, many more years to come." And to that I say, I want more Will and Sonny. You give me more Will and Sonny. I don't know what the actors are doing, but give me more Will and Sonny. Matter of fact, give me a Luke and Noah spinoff while we're at it. I'm sorry for this rant, but someone needs to point it out. We have no conclusion to Luke and Noah's story. They need a spinoff. As for Will and Sonny, I guess they have a conclusion, but I just want to see them be cute. You know what I mean? They have been through too much. Paul was cool, but I wanted Will and Sonny back together. And I know they're already back together, but that's besides the point. When the the show premiered in 1965, it revolved around the tragedies and triumphs of the suburban Horton family. And over time, additional families were brought into the show to interact with the Hortons and serve as springboards for more dramatic storylines. Originally led by the patriarch Dr. Tom Horton and his wife Alice, who was a homemaker, the Hortons remained the prominent fixture in current community, or current continuity, I don't know why I said community. Now, I'm gonna have to heavily censor what I say here, because I'm not allowed to say the no word. So I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say the fruit. You know what I'm referring to. So, one of the longest running storylines involved the Mickey Horton's wife Laura by Mickey's brother Bill. Laura confides in her father-in-law, Dr. Tom, and the two agree that her husband should never know. The secret, involving the true parentage of Michael Horton, a product of the and Mickey's subsequent health issues as a result of their relation, span episodes from 1968 to 1975. The plotline was made even more complex with the presence of Linda Patterson, originally Margaret Mason for many years, and later Elaine Princey, those people who played her, by the way, just to let you know, who claimed that her daughter Melissa had been fathered by Mickey. When Mickey married the lovely Maggie Simmons, Linda became even more involved in the storyline as the show's main villainess, marrying the wealthy Bob Anderson and taking over the running of Anderson Manufacturing when he became ill. The storyline involving Mickey, Laura, and Bill was the first to bring the show to prominence, and put it near the top of the Nielsen daytime ratings. Another love triangle between lounge singer Doug Williams, Tom and Alice's daughter Addie, and Addie's own daughter Julie proved to be popular around the same time. The storyline culminated in the death of Addie in 1974 and the marriage of Doug and Julie in 1976. In the early 80s, the Brady and DiMerta families were introduced, and their rivalry quickly cemented their places as core families in Salem besides the Hortons. Around the same time, with the help of head writers Sherry Anderson, Thom Messina, and Leah Lehman, action-adventure storylines and super couples such as Bo and Hope, Shane and Kimberly, Patch and Kayla reinvigorated the show, previously focused primarily on the domestic troubles of the Hortons. And then since the 90s, with the introduction of writer James E. Riley, Days of Our Lives has moved from traditional plots to, some supernatural and science fiction themed stories, which we already said was weird. So, but this inspired James E. Riley to make Passions. I told you, it gonna happen at some point, you know? Let's just move on.
Like sands through the hourglass.
In addition to the love triangles of Bill, Laura, Mickey, and Addie, Doug, and Julie, other memorable storylines included the 1968 story of amnesiac Tom Horton Jr., who returns from Korea believing he is someone else, and then proceeds to romance his younger sister, Marie. The 20-year tragic love triangle when John Black has an affair with Marlena Brady, who is married to Roman, and then we also got the Salem Strangler, because we couldn't go through this without serial killers. Am I right? Or am I wrong? So the Salem Strangler is, I don't really want to get into it, but just know that it's a thing. You know what I mean? Just know that. In 1992, the show was retooled with additions such as refurbished sets, the debut of the Brady Pub, and new characters like Vivian, Lisanne, Billy, and Kate. In the same year, later on, they introduced some new teen characters. You know, we got Carrie, Brady, Tracy Mittendorf, and then Christy Clark. Never mind. Christy Clark is Carrie Brady. What I meant to say was that Carrie Brady was played by two different people. But then also more different people because she got SORAs, which, for those of you who don't know, SORAs is soap opera rapid aging syndrome, which Will Horton has been through, hence why I said it was weird when Will Horton was in Chandler Massey for a while, but whatever. I want to read the craziest thing, though, alright? Let's get, stamp that in. The shocking and ratings grabbings of 1993 was the plot they made when Vivian Almond buried Dr. Carly Manning alive, the first controversial storyline from the head writer who made Passions, and the 1994-95 storyline in which the town's Christmas tree burns down and Marlena becomes possessed in exorcist fashion. What is this show? Oh, and since I'm never, ever going to have time to mention this, I would like to point out that Jensen Ackles was in this show, but did have to leave in the 2000s. But just know that Jensen Ackles was one of the Brady children. He was Eric Brady. And I'm not referring to the Brady Bunch. I am referring to the Brady family in this show. And of course, another notable storyline is, Will and Sunny getting married and falling in love, but I'm not going to get into that in this video solely because I want it to be a separate video, so let's move on.
So are the days of our lives.
So episodes of Days of Our Lives were first made available on digital platforms in July of 2003, when SoapNet, which is now a defunct website owned by Sony Pictures Digital Networks, began offering same-day and archive episodes dating back to the series' 1965 premiere for streaming or direct download via its Soap City download subscription offering, available on either a monthly subscription or on a discounted pay per episode basis. So they got it down to the smarts. But also in June 2007, the episodes of the series began to be offered on iTunes, so yeah. Under an agreement that was reached with Sony Pictures Television in March of 2004, I wasn't born yet, cable network SoapNet began airing same-day rebroadcasts of Days of Our Lives each weeknight at 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock p.m., later 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock p.m., Eastern and Pacific Time, with classic episodes sometimes filling the slot during NBC predetermined presumptions, along with the usually 5-hour-long weekend block of the past week's episodes. Days aired on the network until its closure in December of 2013, and then on August of 24th of 2015, Pop began airing same-day rebroadcasts of the show as part of an early primetime soap opera repeat block that included CBS's soaps like The Young and the Restless and The Bold and Beautiful. CBS's namesake parent, CBS Corporation, owns the cable channel and operated as a joint venture with Lionsgate at the time. Pop then dropped Days of Our Lives from its lineup after the April 15, 2016 broadcast, so I don't know why they did that, but now you can get into Hulu. Or before Hulu, I don't know how to put it, but NBC began making same-day episodes of Days available for streaming on the show's NBC.com subpage on August 10th of 2009. The 10 most recent episodes are available for viewing, with each episode being streamable for 16 days after the original air date. Recent episodes of the series were also available on Hulu from 2008 until August 2015, when the streaming service abruptly removed the show from its NBC programming offerings, which leaves General Hospital, like I said, to be the only soap opera on Hulu. Just forever. For its first 3 years on the air, Days of Our Lives was near the bottom of the Nielsen ratings, at the high risk of cancellation, which is a crazy thing to even say because it's still going. However, its ascent to the top was rapid. As the 1968-69 TV season ended, it became an effective tool for NBC. Probably because they canceled the monkeys. Who said that? Oh, I don't know who said that. Anyways, NBC is attempting to dethrone, their daytime leader CBS, and by 1973 the show pitted against Guild and Light and also ABC's The Newlywed Game, which is a game show, because every time I talk about soap operas, we gotta always put them against game shows. Anyways, again, had matched the first place soap ratings As the World Turns and fell out NBC's soap Another World. Due to the success of the program, NBC expanded Days from a 30-minute time slot to a 60-minute time slot on April 21st, 1975. This expansion had followed the lead of Another World, which became the first hour-long television soap, 3/1/3 months earlier on January 6th. Furthermore, Days of Our Lives' new starting time of 1:30 finally solved the scheduling problem that began in 1968 when NBC lost the rights to the game show Let's Make a Deal to ABC, and in its wake, 8 different shows were placed in the slot: Hidden Faces, You're Putting Me On, Life with Linkletter, Words and Music, Memory Game, Three's a Match, Jeopardy, and How to Survive Marriage. Little to no success, though. But you know what? I'm just now realizing something. I'm just now realizing that, you guys just don't give a shit. I don't know why I'm explaining this to you, so I say we talk about something else. Did you not hear me? I said let's talk about something else. Alright, that's better. On August 3rd, 2022, it was announced that NBC Universal would move Days of Our Lives exclusively to Peacock beginning September 12th, 2022, after a 57-year run on NBC. The show was replaced in its time slot by NBC News Daily, which competes primarily with ABC's GMA3, What You Need to Know. NBC Universal Television and Streaming Chairman Mark Lazarus stated that the move would enable us to build the show's loyal fan base on streaming while simultaneously bolstering the network's daytime offering with an urgent live programming opportunity for partners and consumers. With the move, NBC became the first big three networks not to air any daytime soap operas, leaving only 3 daytime soap operas, ABC's General Hospital and CBS's The Bold and the Beautiful and The Young and the Restless, remaining on broadcast television overall. And fourth, Beyond the Gates, premiered on CBS in February of this year. Oh, yeah, that's something I forgot to mention because we weren't going to have enough time, but it will be a future video. But Beyond the Gates is a soap opera that literally came out this year, and it blows my mind. In a report in April by Luminate, Days of Our Lives was named the second top streaming program on Peacock, behind the American adaptation of the Love Island franchise, which I did not know Love Island came from the UK. So when I saw Liam Gallagher talking about it, it also blew my fucking mind.
What reality TV show would you most like to see Liam in? Right, it's got to be The Jungle, hasn't it? Got to be. They'd love to see me in that, squirming, eating fucking frogs, fucking balls and shit. You know what I mean? Right, here we go. Love Island. Oh, Love Island. I forgot about that. Love Island. I ain't got the body for it. When I bring sexy back, when I get my shit together and that, I'll be in there. But me and my missus watch a bit of that sometimes. But it's for kids, innit? You know what I mean? Really. Great British Bake Off, not into that fucking shit. That's the problem with this fucking country, right here, right now. Too many fucking programmes on food, man. And then there's nothing on music, you know what I mean? The only one that you got is on Jules Holland. You got loads of dicks baking fucking cakes and fucking bread and all that. Fuck off.
Are you a fan of baking?
No. I'm a fan of music. I'd much rather music shows than fucking baking, silly baking programmes.
Okay,
so I'm not having that. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here any day. Yeah. But no, I'm a shitbag when it comes to spiders and stuff like that, man. Nah, not a chance. They wouldn't have the money, they haven't got the budget to get me in there.
Yeah, I was about to say, how much?
I wouldn't do it. I'd rather just walk the streets and beg, you know what I mean, if I needed the money, you know what I mean? I wouldn't do it. No, I'm not into creepy crawlies and that.
So what would you do if you had to do one?
I'd probably do the celebrity one, you know what I mean? I guess. So they're right. Because I'm not entertaining this bake-off nonsense. I Love Island, it's fucking pretty boys, innit?
The company made further claims that in 31 out of 32 reported weeks, the 16th season of the serial appeared on their list of top 50 streaming original TV shows. The 59th season ranked at number 2 with 3.1 billion minutes watched, while the 60th season ranked at number 4 with 2.4 billion minutes watched on Peacock, respectively. Okay, so we're all familiar with the theme song. This is the theme song that I'm showing right now. Almost unchanged since the show's debut in November of 1965, Days of Our Lives title sequence shows an hourglass with sand trickling to the bottom against the backdrop of a partially cloudy sky, accompanied by the spoken words,
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Now, there's a reason why I want to talk about this. It's because, well, Monkey Connection. When I say Monkey Connection, I mean that the light orchestral theme music that accompanies the opening titles was composed by Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, and another person too, but I mainly wanted to focus on the fact that Boyce and Hart were tasked by Ted and Betty Corday to create a theme for the show that sounded similar to Sunrise Sunset, which the Cordays had recently heard while seeing the Broadway version of Fiddler on the Roof. And since that's all I wanted to mention, now we can move on to the spin-offs. Alright, so when it comes to the spin-offs, they're kind of The first spin-off we have is Days of Our Lives Beyond Salem. Peacock ordered a 5-episode limited series titled Days of Our Lives Beyond Salem in July of 2021. And the OG casts, some people in the cast did appear in the show. And the series premiered on September 6th of 2021 and ran until September 10th. A second chapter of 5 episodes was also announced in April of 2022. And scheduled to premiere on July 11th to 15th of 2022. And then on June 2nd, they announced more people who were in the show to be casted in the show. So there's that. We also have Days of Our Lives, A Very Salem Christmas, which is mainly about, I think, Will, because Chandler Massey is in it, and also Allison Sweeney is in it too, but who cares? She just plays one of the Brady children or whatever, and we got Will Horton in here, but that's all you need to know for those ones. And also, the Christmas thing premiered on December 16th, so, and it's a movie as well.
This is MacDonald Carey.
It's the one you've been waiting for. You've all been waiting for me to talk about this one in particular. Days of Our Lives and its connection to Friends. So, Days of Our Lives was partially parodied on Friends, which ran from 1994 to 2004, ended like a week after I was born. I had nothing to do with that, but whatever. It was an NBC sitcom, so it makes sense. In which the main character, Joey Tribbiani, played the fictional Days character Dr. Drake Ramore in a storyline that began with him being casted in the role in the season 2 episode, The One with Russ. Incidentally, because I love this connection, Jennifer Aniston, who plays Rachel on the show, is the daughter, of course, of John Aniston, who plays Victor Caracas in Days of Our Lives from 1985 until he died in 2022. But still, the storyline in and of itself, however, was paradoxical, as Friends was set in New York City, which was the taping location for the NBC soap opera Another World, one of the 4 soap operas that aired on the network during the sitcom's run, from its premiere in May of 1964 until it ended in June of 1989. Whereas Days of Our Lives, however, was shot in Burbank, California, at what was then known as NBC Studios, located 2 miles from the Warner Brothers studios where Friends was filmed. Subsequent episodes featured pseudo Days of Our Lives storylines invented for the sitcom, and include some guest appearances by real-life cast members from the soap opera, except for Jennifer Aniston's dad. He didn't really appear in the show, which that would have been something. Joey's initial stint in Days of Our Lives came to an end 8 episodes later in the one where Drake Ramore dies, or Dr. Ramore dies, in which his character was killed off by falling down an elevator shaft in retaliation for claiming during a Soap Opera Digest interview that he wrote most of his lines, angering the writers of the soap. Later, in the season 7 episode, the one with Joey's new brain, the Drake Ramore character was brought back to life thanks to a brain transplant from the in-universe Days of Our Lives character Jessica Lockhart, who was played by Sanderson in the show, but not in the soap, I think. But it says she played Jessica's in-universe portrayal of Cecilia Monroe in the episode, and coincidentally at the same time of the episode, Lockhart had been used as the surname of the actual Days characters, Bonnie and Mimi, then played by Judy Evans and Farrah Faith, respectively. Allison Sweeney, who played Sammy Brady, appeared on the show as fictional Days cast member Jessica Ashley, instead of her real-life series' character Sammy Brady, and Christian Alfonso as Hope Brady, and Rowan Critchko as Mike Horton also appeared on the show. In the season 9 episode, the one with the soap opera party, in which Joey hosts a soap opera party on the roof of his apartment building, Matthew Ashford and Kyle Lauder, who played Jack Devereaux and Brady Black on the soap at the time of the episode, makes appearances as his co-stars. In the episode, Joey and the Wrong Name, from the spin-off Joey that we will one day make a video about, Joey receives a Soap Opera Award nomination for Best Death Scene after his character is fatally stabbed while performing surgery.
And these are the days of our lives.
We don't have time to talk about the other notable parodies of soap operas, but here they are. There were a lot, and by a lot I mean not that much. But you know what? It's amazing to have references to this specific show because it was on for that long. So also Robert Sean Leonard from House was supposed to be in a soap opera, but that's lost media, and we're never gonna see it ever again. Well, we've reached the end of September, because as I film this, it's Tuesday, which means it's September 30th, which means that we have reached the end of Soap Opera September. And to be honest, I didn't get to do my schedule properly, and I apologize for that. But you should still know that I am committed to making holiday-themed videos, which is why tomorrow will be the very first episode of, Unnamed Spooky Show. That's a perfect name for a show. I think I should name the playlist that, but yeah. Unnamed Spooky Show is my show where I will be talking about spooky stuff, and some of them will be Disney Channel original movies. And also some of them will be childhood stuff, because I finally found 2 childhood movies that I watched. Mind you, are dubbed, because I didn't realize they came from Europe. But my god, are they absolute cinema. And I don't think anyone else remembers them. Except for me, finally. I finally remember them. Anyways, there's also some breaking news videos I haven't really made yet, like one about Surf's Up and one about The Simpsons finally getting a sequel. But those are gonna come, rest assured. And, yeah. Thanks for watching this, video. I hope this is more enjoyable. This is an hour long, I think. Kind of like the Dynasty video. We've come full circle. The very first episode was an hour long, and now this one is an hour long. Who would have thunk it? When we come back next September, the very first episode will be The Young and the Restless, because, I was supposed to make that video, and I didn't make that video. But it's okay.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.